Groovy Kim here. Did you grow up with religion? I didn't. Not at all. In fact, it was really confusing to me. I had friends that would go to church and I didn't have a clue what that was about. I thought it was really weird. And then I had another disadvantage of my family upbringing. In fact, the comments I would hear growing up. Anyway, back to my family upbringing with regards to religion. There was none. I was taught that basically people who were religious were ignorant and had no clue about the way things really worked. I was way more interested in science and math, and my upbringing was skewed. I really did think that all those kind of things were hokey, to put it nicely. But you know what? Because I'm studying this quantum mechanics, oddly enough, studying science and math has brought me full circle. Now, I don't attend church still, but the crazy thing is, they aren't crazy. Religion is not crazy. Psychics and mediums and all those things that all these years I thought were a little on the hokey side, I'm starting to understand that there really is something to it. Oh, hey, I forgot to tell you that I survived the 2020 toilet paper crisis. See there? Question is, did you? Picture this. 100 years ago, they were just discovering the microscopic world, right? You look into a microscope and it's a whole nother world. There's sentient beings in there that are moving around with purpose. They're feeding, they're looking for prey. It's a whole nother world on the microscopic level, right? There's a whole nother world on the macroscopic level, larger than what we see. There's a whole nother world in the spectrum of sound. There is a whole nother world in the vibrational frequency world. Other beings vibrate at different frequencies. And the more we learn about these things, the more we can understand why ancient man developed religion in the first place. We know that when you go into a very deep meditative state, that you're changing the beta waves to alpha waves. And when you do that, that's when you're able to get rid of the analytical part of your mind and enter into the subconscious. And when you go even deeper, you can actually start to see 3D kaleidoscopes and imagery that's just magical and mystical. And so, of course, ancient man thought, whoa, what is that? It feels like a presence. It feels like a god or something. To try to explain how come you can heal yourself without trying, or how come anything is alive, or what makes a flower's petals unfold, what makes the cell differentiate between a muscle cell, a fat cell, a heart cell, a lung cell, when it all came from the exact same thing. It has to do with frequency. And that's it, frequency and vibration. It's a whole nother world to study. And that's the bottom line. I think that we have mixed this all up. Religion and science. It's starting to merge, and that is so exciting to me, because now I no longer view it as strange or mystical thinking, because it is mysterious and it is very real, and it is not hokey after all. So yeah, to further my studies, I also have an appointment with a renowned psychic in my area. I'm going to let you know how that goes. So stay tuned. Please subscribe, and then you'll get to know all about it. You can tap into this power with your mind. And that in itself is mind-blowing. And I think that this is what the mystics of ancient times were talking about the whole time. This is what religion is talking about. You see the kaleidoscope imagery in their stained glass windows. All of the ancient teachings that come down through religion and our cultural views stem from these ancient ways. And you know, there's a lot of wisdom that was passed down to us that we just disregarded. And when Newtonian science came along, and now we had the ability to measure everything, you know, we forgot about this other world. We got so excited that we discovered the microscopic world and that we were looking at, you know, how the planets rotate and how gravity works. We still don't understand that one, but we're working on it. That's part of this quantum mechanics study as well. It has to do with vibration and gravity, and everything is a symphony and works together. And the point is that this vibrational field carries all these different frequencies that we are just now beginning to understand. And a lot of it is very mystical, and you can have some extremely strange experiences with this frequency manipulation. When you go into deep meditation, you can release DMT, right? That is the biggest hallucinogen known to man. This stuff is sold in different forms on the street, right? Black market. I mean, it'll mess you up. You have it naturally, but not in the doses that you would buy off of a thug on the street. No, you have it naturally in the micro doses that were intended. You're born with it for a reason, because you have a pineal gland, and that gland, its purpose is to be able to pick up the frequencies, the vibrations in your environment. If you pick up these vibrations, whether they're really in your environment or created by yourself, meaning your thoughts, and you allow that pineal gland to constantly pick up the frequency of anxiety, your cells slowly get sick because the vibration is out of whack. It's no longer coherent. And when you get into a vibrational pattern where it is extremely coherent, and you become one with the vibration of the universe, that's what religion was talking about the whole time. Some people say they felt God, or they were reborn, born again, right? Born again Christian. I remember those words, born again Christian. That was enough to make me, roll my eyes. Not anymore. Ignorance is everywhere. But I do now understand that there are legitimate claims to this, because it is weird when you finally do connect to the quantum field, and it does feel like you've been zapped. Like, what was that? Oh, was that God? What was that? Thing is, it doesn't really matter what you label it. The point is it really does exist. It's all around us. And your quantum computer, your body, was designed to pick up on it. And you're tuned into it all the time, whether you want to, whether you know it or not. The thing is are you going to learn how to direct it purposefully? Because you've been purposely directing it this whole time with low-grade anxiety. At least that's what I was doing, and I didn't even know it. Thus, I ended up with autoimmune disease. Others end up with cancer. Others end up with, oh boy, you name it. Multiple sclerosis. MS, Parkinson's. The list goes on. And I am a believer now that it is all due to vibrating incoherently long enough. And everybody's system is individual, but if you have your individual system incoherently vibrating, your symphony is out of whack. You have millions of different, maybe trillions of different systems. Every single cell in your body is its own sentient being, its own system. And they all work together. And if you have a whole section of that system anywhere in your body that's vibrating incoherently due to your thoughts, meaning you're being anxious, you are frustrated all the time, you're angry in traffic, you're angry at your coworker, your spouse, your kids, you can't stop thinking about what happened in the past. That was one of my problems. I was constantly thinking about why my father didn't love me, how come he didn't want me. That's enough to throw you for a loop for years, right? But you know what? One of those loops I threw for years was on myself, and that's not forgiving him. That's not forgiving the grandmothers who mistreated him as a child. The whole thing is what shaman taught me. Yes, I went and saw a shaman because I'm starting to believe in this stuff. It's amazing. Why? Because it's starting to work on me. I'm starting to heal myself. I no longer have these terrible symptoms. Absolutely went and saw a shaman, and he explained to me about familial curses. Now here's the thing. The old me, the old Kimberly, would say, yeah, right. You know, more hokum, more hooky baloney. But I stopped and I thought about it after I got home. After my visit with shaman, I went home and I looked it up. Family curse. What is that? I was expecting some, chant, weird words or whatever. No, it's not that at all. It's the vibrational messages that have been passed down through the generation, whether it's alcoholism, fighting, skepticism, racism. In my family, it was alcoholism, racism, just downright skepticism all the time, vibrating constantly. The whole family in my childhood was vibrating on a level of constant anxiety. I grew up in it. And now I'm trying to undo it. But here's the thing. It wasn't those people in my family that did it to me because they grew up the same way. It's the way you interpret your situation. You can be the observer and sit back and say, wow, isn't that interesting? Or you can go, look what those people did to me. I feel horrible. I'm upset all the time. I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about it. Which one's wiser? Learn about it. Figure it out. Catch yourself when you start vibrating on those frequencies. When you start saying, yeah, and what about her? What about what she did? Now you're back into the old you. So the way I did this was I understood that every time I meditate, I'm obtaining a slight upgrade. That's right, a slight upgrade to my quantum computer. Because every time you catch yourself having those old kind of thoughts where you're vibrating on that kind of a frequency, you know darn well that's not good for your body. It's not good for your quantum computer. You are making it out of whack, and now you're going to have to practice reprogramming it. And that's just practicing catching yourself in your own thoughts and words. What would your upgrade say? What would your upgrade do? Every time you're in any situation, doesn't matter if you're around anyone or not, you can be all by yourself. Catch yourself in your thoughts. What would my upgrade think? Or say, or do. You start thinking like that, your behavior, your thoughts, your words begin to change, and now your upgrade begins to really take hold. And sure enough, you begin to vibrate a little better. And sure enough, all those icky old symptoms begin to dissolve. Especially if you start to be thankful for it. Groovy Kim did a good job today because she caught herself having those icky, stinking thinking thoughts. And when she did, she said, oh yeah, what would the upgrade say and think instead? And then I replaced those thoughts with good ones. And I congratulated myself in my mind. And that's how I do it, because that's groovy.